on, everyone? It is Jaden and our resident expert Caleb here with Fantasy Tomorrow. And I hope all of you guys are as excited as we are to be in the championship week, okay? But that just means that all of our advice and recommendations are more crucial this week than they have been any other week because we are taking you to a championship win. So with that, Caleb's pretty much just going to tell us who we should be targeting on the waiver wires in week 16 to win your championship matchups, okay? So Caleb, are there any quarterbacks we should be looking to stream?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big one is Jalen Hurts for the Philadelphia Eagles. In his first two games as the starter, Hurts has just been a fantasy football goldmine. He's been really, really good. I know in my league that I play in, our quarterback scoring is a little different, but he scored over 40 points, which is just killer. So he's going up against the Cowboys this week. I think he's going to just have another amazing week against a very soft matchup, and he really is a must start if you do not have a top 5 quarterback because he can give you that just amazing valuable. He's a for sure top 10 play, so he's definitely a must start if you're quarterback needy. And somebody else, if he's not available that you could stream this week, is Mitchell Trubisky. I mentioned him on here a lot, but that's just because he's a really decent fantasy quarterback. We know he's not the best actual quarterback, but he produces good fantasy numbers, and if you're desperate for a quarterback this week, I really like him going up against the Jaguars, so you can pick him up for sure.
Okay, awesome. So now are there any running backs we should be looking to stream?
Yeah, so first off, Le'Veon Bell, he's available in about 40% of ESPN leagues, and he's basically on this list just because Clyde Edwards-Helaire suffered a hip and ankle injury that's probably going to knock him out at least for the rest of the regular season, which means Bell is going to become the bell cow for the Kansas City Chiefs in their backfield. He has a very favorable matchup against the Falcons this week. The Chiefs should be running the ball quite a bit in that game, so I really like Bell. You should go grab him if he's available on waivers. Kind of same reasoning for the next guy, Tony Pollard. He had a really good game this past week. Ezekiel Elliott ended up sitting out week 15 due to an injury. There's a chance that he could sit again, and if that happens, then you definitely have to have Tony Pollard. He's a must start if Zeke is sitting. Then Savon Ahmed for the Miami Dolphins. He returned this week. He played and got most of the snaps at running back for the Dolphins because Myles Gaskins is still out with his injury. If Gaskin is out yet again, then Ahmed will see the majority of the touches for the Dolphins, and he's a good runner. He should produce very solid fantasy points, and he's available in a lot of leagues. And finally, this one's a little bit more of a long shot, but has a potential to be a fantasy startable running back this week, and that's Jerick McKinnon for the 49ers. Now, both Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. both sustained ankle injuries this past week, which means that McKinnon would become the lead running back for the 49ers. He'd probably split touches with Tevin Coleman, but he probably would see the majority of the touches, and he could be somebody that is a good flex option just in case Mostert and Wilson aren't able to go in Week 16.
Okay, so there are your running backs, guys. Are there any wide receivers we should be looking to grab?
Yeah, so these are all kind of long shots. If you don't have a wide receiver on your team, these are kind of the guys I like the most that you could go for. But just take this with a grain of salt. Wow, take this with a grain of salt. I wouldn't want to be starting any of these guys, but they could be okay. So first off, Allen Lazard for the Green Bay Packers. He's the one I like the most, and that's basically just because he has a good matchup against the Tennessee Titans this week, and he's attached to Aaron Rodgers. So I think that he has potential to have a really good week this week. He's definitely someone that could be started in a pinch. Then along the same line of reasoning, Kiki Kuti for the Houston Texans. I like him. He's been producing the last couple of weeks, and that's mostly just because he's attached to Deshaun Watson, who's been playing really well. Now, Greg Ward for the Philadelphia Eagles has been playing well too. He had a good game this past week. But with Jalen Reagor, his teammate, being banged up, I think Ward will see an increased volume and increased targets this week. He's definitely someone that could be started in a pinch. Then Darnell Mooney for the Chicago Bears. He has a really good matchup against Jacksonville, and he's been seeing a lot of air yards this season. That means that they're throwing to him deep a lot, and eventually that's going to catch up to him. He's going to have a really big game. And Mooney has had some good performances this season, so don't be surprised if he has a good game against the Jaguars. And then finally, Mecole Hardman for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, he's been inconsistent, as kind of all of these guys have been inconsistent this season, but Hardman is a home run hitter if he's on. If he gets one of those long touchdowns, he could be a play that could win you your league. And add that to the fact he's going up against the Falcons that have a bad pass defense, and Hardman saw 9 targets last week. Now, he only caught 3 of those, which isn't great, but he does have amazing speed. He does catch some really amazing passes. He makes some boneheaded plays, but, I mean, what young receiver doesn't? But you combine those 9 targets with his big playability, and there's definitely some risk-reward there, and I like Hardman as a very desperate flyer for this week.
Okay, and now for, as we all know, my favorite position. Are there any tight ends we should be looking to grab?
Yeah, so the first one is Logan Thomas. He's still available in about half of ESPN leagues. He's just getting so many targets, such a large portion of that Washington target share. You just have to grab him. If you need a tight end, he's definitely the person to go to, especially if you're in a PPR league. Just go grab Logan Thomas. And then this one's a little bit more of a reach, but if you're really desperate, I think Dalton Schultz could be a good tight end as well. With Michael Gallup kind of getting banged up a little bit, he could miss some time. Dalton Schultz should see more targets. That Dallas offense has been better in recent weeks, and he's, of course, always a threat to get into the end zone. So Schultz is your guy if you're really desperate for a tight end.
And finally, are there any defenses we should be looking to stream?
Yeah, so first off, the Washington football team, they're going up against the Panthers, and Washington's just been really good defensively. They're on a lot of waivers right now because people dropped them since they had that matchup against the Seahawks this past week, but the Washington football team actually played pretty well against the Seahawks. They limited Russell Wilson quite a bit, and if they're able to limit Russell Wilson, they should be able to limit Teddy Bridgewater. I definitely like Washington. That pass rush just offers a lot of fantasy upside. And then also the Houston Texans, they aren't a good defense, but they have a really good matchup this week going up against the Bengals. I think J.J. Watt will get home in this game and provide you with some solid fantasy points from sacks. So I like that matchup as well. Houston's definitely someone you can stream.
Okay, guys, so go out there, take our advice, and let us help you win your championship league. And let us help you win your league championships, okay? Go on ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And then with that, we're going to say see you later to Caleb and let him know that we appreciate all of his advice this season. And I'm going to let you guys know that this is Fantasy Tomorrow, where we're giving you guys the information to learn today and win tomorrow. See you guys next week.